Siobhan.
I'm Devin.
And we're Sisters of the Darkest Hour. And this is our third installment on William Hollenbaugh and Peggy Ann Bragnick. And it's going to be the last one, too. No more of these after this. Thanks, everyone, for sticking with us on that. And sorry this episode is coming out really late. That was unintentional, just between work and health and other things going on. We have not been able to make the time to do it, and we are really sorry about that. Yesterday, my son turned 17, and Devin, she had her adventure last night, too.
I did. My boyfriend surprised me with tickets to Penhurst Asylum for my birthday. For him, my son, and myself to go. And I did not get home till 3 o'clock in the morning, and then we had book club this afternoon.
Yeah, so it's been a very busy couple weeks, and again, we are very sorry for getting this up super late. We will try and do better with our timing on things. Like I said, this is the last installment, and you will not hear my voice for the next episode. You will be listening to Devin.
Yay.
Yep. So, I guess we're just going to get into it now.
Yep.
Alright, now we are on the 5th day of, like I said, William Hollenbaugh and Peggy Ann Bragnick. And like I said, this is the last installment of this. So the 5th day is Sunday, May 15th of 1966. First thing in the morning, there was a lot of activity at the command post, the picnic ground in Hollenbaugh's cabin. Peggy's home and her church also. Like I said, the whole town's doing it. Everyone's chipping in. Everyone's trying to find Peggy and have a good outcome with this. Everybody wants her to come home safe.
That's insane to think about, because nowadays, you couldn't just hide in the woods and just keep circling all throughout the woods for days and not get caught. Not nowadays. And it's just crazy how far we've come in such a short amount of time with technology and everything.
Yeah, well, it all depends on probably the part of where you're at, because people do have trail cams and everything up in their woods.
Yeah, there's trail cams. There's so many different resources. You have thermal imaging now and satellite imaging that they can get footage of. It's insane.
Yeah, but you also got to make sure you have a town that's willing to help search for you, because not everyone's willing to do stuff like that.
Oh, I don't picture many people being willing to search for me.
Oh, knock it off. And then there's the police. You got to have a very good police department that's willing to do the work.
Might be screwed there.
I listened to this other podcast called The Vanished, where it's about people who has disappeared and they haven't been seen, and the families come on and tell their stories. It's a good podcast. I really like it. And there's just so much about shitty police work. And
that's a shame too, because there are good cops out there, and it only takes a couple bad ones to create that stigma that cops are awful.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's all police work by far. I'm not. I'm just saying you got to make sure you have a good police force and a good town that's going to look for you.
Meanwhile, I just said if it was up to Lewistown or Mifflin County Police Department, I'd be screwed. And then I'm like, not all cops are bad. Well, they're not all bad.
No, they're not. We have some really good ones out there.
Yeah.
But, okay. Yep. Back to this. Like I said, 5th day, Sunday, May 15th of 1966. Like I said, there's a lot of activity around the command post and everywhere else. Thomas P. McGinn, a man, he's a tracking dog handler from Arkansas, came all the way out to Shade Gap to try and help find her. He had driven for hours just to participate in the search. And just the fact that people from out of town are willing to come in and try and help too, that says something. Trooper George Plafkin met him upon his arrival at the picnic grounds with his dog King and Wade. W-E-I-D.
Where's your mind?
Shut up. Wade. Shortly after arriving, the two men and the dogs were dispatched to sites where authorities felt that Peggy and her captor had been in the more recent hours. Over 400 volunteers were on hand Sunday to search wherever the police felt was needed. Like I said, town was doing it. The town wanted to find Peggy safe and sound. They wanted her back. But the searchers went all day until the fifth and final search started at 6:30 p.m. Police noted that all 5 searches that day ended unfortunately with some negative results. It seemed the police gets closer and then he somehow evades them. Probably, I don't know if maybe something on the radio. Peggy said that Hollenbaugh wanted to go higher up on the mountain so they could hide in what he referred to as Buck Laurel. He was afraid of the helicopter flying around, and after a while, Hollenbaugh started trusting Peggy because he knew she probably wasn't gonna try and get away from him. He has her scared. She's afraid he's gonna hurt her or shoot her or anything, and she wants to make it home safe and sound to her family. She misses and loves her family. But she was just too afraid, so he trusted her to walk by herself and not on a chain as much. But I guess on Sunday he had hit her once because he decided she was going too slow for him. And he feared that she was going to get them caught by moving slow. He slapped Peggy a couple of times behind the back of the neck and hit her across the face a couple of times and told her not to get any smart ideas because they wouldn't work. He had a gun that could shoot her down in no time. He was just too powerful of a man for her to get away. This occurred on a ridge between Hollenbaugh's cabin and the mountain on the far side of the present Tannery Road. Sunday evening, they just roamed up on the mountain ridges and was just watching for people. At midnight, he decided to go to his cabin. He wanted to feed his dogs again because he didn't want them to starve. So at least he cared about his dogs.
He cared about something at least.
Yeah.
Shows he had some type of humanity.
Yeah, hold that thought. That night, they ate a can of corn. They were on the ridge behind his cabin, and he was just being really mean to her, and he kept trying to kiss her a lot, all the too. Yeah, but he started trying to kiss her like right after he grabbed her.
Yeah.
So, but Peggy don't remember what day it was, but they were near a farmhouse on the ridge between the mountains, and her legs were getting really scratched up. He took off one of his undershirts he was wearing and tore it into pieces, and he wrapped it around her feet and her legs.
At least he was considerate of that.
Yeah. They didn't sleep much that night. Every time they lay down to rest, he would chain her to a tree. Yeah. He always had a portable radio with him and leaves it on all night long, but I guess he didn't get much news on it. So I'm not sure how helpful the radio was. I mean, he had the radio. There might have been some news on it that helped him, but I guess there wasn't much.
I mean, that's good. That means he wasn't too aware of where they were searching at.
Yeah. But that ended the 5th day. Now we're on day 6. It's Monday, May 16th of 1966. As the search continued for Peggy and her captor, Peggy and Hollenbaugh spent hours on the densely wooded ridge. Peggy said he was just so nervous that everything made him grouchy because he was constantly on edge. He was constantly on fear that he was going to get caught.
Well, here's the thought. Don't kidnap people.
Yeah, I agree. Don't kidnap anyone. And don't attack anybody. Even before Peggy got kidnapped, he was attacking people.
Yeah.
So, but he started to talk to Peggy and said to her, "By now you probably know I am the mountain man." Peggy thought he wasn't because he told her that he had never done anything like this before, that this was his first time. He told her about the attack on Miss Arnold. She was the second attack. He said he never intended to hurt the woman. He just wanted someone to love because he never had a woman.
I wonder why.
Then he said she tried to struggle to get away from him and he had to hurt her, so he hit her with a piece of pipe.
I couldn't imagine why she would struggle.
Yeah. Well,
He sounds like a real catch.
yeah, that's what I thought. We really missed out by being born so much later.
Yeah, I mean, we really do follow the red flags, though. So, I mean...
Then he told Peggy about the vending woman. She was the fourth attack. He said he didn't want to hurt her either, but she drawed a gun on him, and he knew she'd either shoot him or he'd have to shoot her. So he shot her wrist.
Well, I mean, don't attack people. They won't pull a gun on you.
Yeah, she had kids to protect. You don't stand between a mother and her kids.
No, that's just stupidity.
Yeah.
But he doesn't seem like the brightest bulb in the box anyway.
No, he doesn't.
Common sense was definitely a flower that did not grow in that man's garden.
Yeah, but apparently he didn't realize she was hurt so bad until he started to drag her away so he can get into the mountain and have his way with her.
Ew.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Gross.
But he decided her wrist was bleeding too bad, so he tore some of her clothes off and put it on her hand and took her back to the house. He told her, I guess you might as well know right now that I am the mountain man and I admit to doing all of these things, all the rest of these things. Yeah. Then he told her about Ned Price. He was the fifth attack. He
That
said,
was the World War II vet?
yes.
Okay.
He said he wasn't out to get Mr. Price for no reason at all. He just wanted to get Mr. Price's wife.
Again, common sense is a flower that does not grow in everybody's garden, and it did not grow in this man's garden.
Yeah, I don't think Mr. Price was going to let some guy just randomly come up and take his wife.
I mean, not if he was a true husband.
Yeah, and he was, except from the sounds of it. He said he had been watching his wife for quite some time, but never really had the chance to get her.
Ew.
Yeah, he thought that night her husband would be working late and he would be there to get her. So he said he waited for a while and suddenly a man appeared in the doorway with a light and flashed it into his eyes. It sort of blinded him for a minute and he said he got scared. He said the man saw him in the light and that he would probably shoot him, so instead of waiting for Price to shoot him, he shot him first, but never intended to hurt him though.
Well, I mean, if I ever aim a gun at somebody and I pull the trigger, I have no intention of hurting that person.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, do you know that's how stuff like that works?
I didn't know that.
No. Well, now you're educated.
No. Okay. I always thought if you point at the person and actually shoot it, then you did intend to at least hurt a little bit.
Well, that's because common sense is a flower that grows in your garden.
Okay, I didn't know I had common sense.
Apparently with this you do.
That's good to know. But yeah, Hollenbaugh continued to talk about his attacks and his confrontations. As the night wore on, he told Peggy that he watched Martha yawn. She was the third attack for quite some time too, because she never seemed to be out very much. He said he somehow knew that Martha was going to be out of the area, so he put up the roadblock to stop her from, just to stop her there. He had planned to just use his gun to force her out of the car, but when she stopped, but he didn't have any intentions on hurting her, because apparently he didn't have intentions on hurting anybody.
Oh no, he's such a gentle soul.
Yeah, he's a saint. Yeah, I figured you caught that on by now.
No, I'm a little slow on the upkeep, but I'm getting there.
No, that explains a lot.
I'm tired today.
When she got to the roadblock, she got scared and put the car in reverse and started backwards. He said he fired a couple of shots at the engine, hoping it would stop. He never figured it would go through right through the car like the bullets did. When he realized he had shot at her so many times and he wasn't going to get her, he got scared because he thought someone would hear the shots and come after him, so he forgot all about her and just left. Yeah. Then he mentioned the Jacka case. She was the first attack. Peggy said Hollenbaugh told her that he had watched her for quite some time too, but he wasn't really interested in her for some reason. He told her that he never had a woman and he wanted any woman he can get his hands on. He said he tried scaring her into coming with him, but that didn't work, so he tried throwing rocks through the window.
Oh, because that was going to work.
Yeah, through the window of her house there. And of course, like you said, that didn't work either. Finally, he decided he might as well leave her go because she wasn't going to be worth much anyways.
Whatever happened to, like, flowers and candy and, like, courting somebody?
I don't know. Well, you know how your brother-in-law proposed to me, so it wasn't no flowers and candy.
No, it wasn't. But I just, like, I can't help but wonder if he had ever actually taken the time to, you know, actually try to be genuine or a gentleman. If any of this would have ever happened.
I couldn't tell you at all. I don't know. But he has so many mental problems, too, it seemed like.
Like, all this work he's putting into attacking these women, if he had just put any of that effort into actually, you know, wooing a girl, then he might have had better luck. Well,
Yeah.
he definitely would have had better luck.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know. He might have.
Again, garden, missing that flower.
But, sorry, I lost my train of thought and where I was at. He admitted taking a shot to try and scare her, but he didn't want to hurt her. Peggy said he did not admit to any other crimes, though, to her, just those attacks. He only talked to her about them times to get his mind off of it somehow, and he had to tell someone. Might as well have been her, he said.
Yeah. So she was just convenient.
Like she had a choice, really.
Yeah.
But he had lived his whole life without a woman, and he needed someone in his eyes. He told her that he had been watching Peggy for some time, and that he had watched her in the winter time, and had watched her folks coming down and meeting her in the car, and taking her back. Oh, Sadie, what's wrong, baby girl? Sadie's over there whining a little bit. Probably her ball somewhere.
Probably.
This dog goes crazy. If her ball is somewhere, she will find it and she will bark and whine at you until you give it to her. She's just like that for some weird reason. But we love her. She's our little protector is what we call her. But yeah, he just didn't have the heart to come after her all them times. He watched her until that day he decided to. Apparently when he got up that morning, he didn't even decide he was going to go after her either. He was just taking care of some cattle and had decided today was the day, and just waited for Peggy to get off the bus and attack her. And just take off with her. Yeah. He then started kissing and hugging Peggy and tried to tell her that he loved her. And if she did what he wanted to do and kept up with him, everything would be alright. And she could be his girl and leave the country and live happily ever after, so to speak.
I agree with Sadie. I'd be crying too, Sadie.
Yeah. He just kissed her and put his arm around her neck and told her not to worry, that she was safe with him. Safe with him, but not safe from him, in my opinion.
Well, not even safe with him. He's beating her.
That's why I said not safe from him.
Yeah.
But,
Like, I'll be, but I won't let nobody else do it to you.
pretty much. He had, guns and he could outwit anyone, which is why she was apparently safe with him. But, apparently there was no food left and they would break into some places. He knew of a place that would be empty. So at midnight, they went and broke into that place. They went through the kitchen. He found shells and a gun for a .32 caliber semi-automatic pistol. He said he always wanted one of them. They lugged the canned food out of the house and carried the food away back towards the Hollenbaugh cabin. So now he has another gun and some shells.
awesome. That's exactly what he needed.
Yeah, I know. The manhunt was intensifying on an hourly basis. Everyone was working like tirelessly to try and catch up to Hollenbaugh and rescue Peggy. No one had given up on it. Everyone, they got getting more and more volunteers as the days went on. Like I said, everyone wanted Peggy home. Some leads they received were of a serious matter. Other leads were more part of a waste of time and energy, it seemed like. But they still followed up on every single lead that they can. Because they wanted this to end.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. And now we're on the 7th day, Tuesday, May 17th of 1966. On this day, dog handler Thomas McGinn, the one that came in from out of state, was in the lead with his dog King, and followed by Plafkin, who controlled Wade. Shut up, Devin. Agent Anderson was third in line, followed by Jack Stodd with his dog Apache. As they approached the location where Peggy and Hollenbaugh lay hidden in the pines. The men were about 10 to 15 feet apart, and they were completely unaware that Peggy and her captor was so close. They had no clue they had stumbled upon them that close, because Peggy and them were hidden in the high stuff, so they had no clue. They were right there. The dogs were ground tracking and led them straight to Peggy and Hollenbaugh.
Good doggies.
Oh yeah, definitely good dogs. They didn't even have their guns drawn because they didn't know that Peggy and them were that close. Agent Anderson was carrying a portable radio that linked them to the outside help, should it be needed. So they had a radio. McGinn realized that King was air tracking. And I guess when he was air tracking, that means they were close. He released the dog with the command fast or attack. The one dog started towards Hollenbaugh, and Hollenbaugh grabbed his gun. I do want to say there is a warning about what happens with the dogs. So be prepared. If you want to skip ahead, go ahead, but...
How do I skip ahead?
You can't.
Well, that's not fair. I want to skip ahead.
You're part of this, so you can't.
Well, that's not fair.
We'll get through it. I get it, but I do want to give a warning. I should have started the warning sooner, but yeah. But the one dog started toward Hollenbaugh, and Hollenbaugh had grabbed his gun and shot him. And then he seen Agent Anderson, and Hollenbaugh shot at him, and Agent Anderson had fallen back over the pines. Hollenbaugh, he grabbed Peggy and took the chain from her neck and put it in her hand and had them run. The other dog started toward Hollenbaugh, and he shot at that dog also. Plafkin said that the first round Hollenbaugh fired hit Wade, the second shot hit Anderson, and the third shot hit King. One of the pieces of the double buckshot that hit Anderson went through the radio he was carrying and hit him in his left abdomen, causing massive blood loss. Luckily, the radio still worked, and the men were able to call for help.
Well, that's good.
But unfortunately, Agent Anderson and the dog Wade passed away. King was only injured, though.
Well, I'm glad King was only injured and didn't die, but poor Wade.
I know. I'm with you.
He should get the death penalty.
Yeah. Trooper Anderson Hartsock, along with Trooper John Norris, Agent David Walker, and Dr. George Baumgartner, left the Hollenbaugh cabin and started towards the ambush site immediately after getting the call for help. Agent Joe Jameson, along with numerous additional agents and troopers, joined them en route. Dr. Baumgartner pronounced Agent Anderson dead on the scene shortly after 11 a.m. Unfortunately. Those two were... Yeah, it was sad. After they secured the scene, a detail of 13 men began tracking Hollenbaugh and Peggy towards burnt cabins. After Peggy and Hollenbaugh took off into the woods, they went over a hill. He asked her if she still had the chain. She said yes, and then he asked her about the lock, and she told him no. She had lost the lock. And then he had slapped her and beat her around for a good while because she lost the lock. Yeah. They went back over the ridge, and he just kept hitting her around the whole way back. Kept clubbing her across the head and hitting her in the face, and he bloodied her nose for it.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, I
Forcing
agree.
a girl to carry a heavy chain and a lock and run while bullets are flying, and you expect her to keep a hold of everything.
Yeah, pretty much. It was about 11:40 a.m. Trooper Barry Biddlestach, I'm not sure if I said that right, was keeping watch along the south side of Mountain Foot Road. He reported hearing a voice say, "Come on." Biddlestach said he turned and saw one male and one female and a dog cross Mountain Foot Road into a ravine called Trout Run. When he heard a truck approaching, he flagged it down and told the driver to tell Detective Albert Wegemer of his observation because he had no radio. About 30 minutes later, additional officers had joined him. They checked the area, but they didn't find anything. They concluded that Hollenbaugh and Peggy had continued down the ravine towards burnt cabins. Unfortunately, they were not able to locate them, and the search, unfortunately, had to be called off at dusk. But Peggy also said that they didn't cross a field because Hollenbaugh was afraid they'd get helicopters and would spy on them, so they stayed along the edge of the creek and followed a fence row. After the shooting all they did was travel. Peggy, hey, enough, you two. Stop playing. Sorry, dogs are trying to play. If we lock them out, all they do is whine and bark at the door. Stop. Okay, where was I? Peggy was out of breath and she could hardly keep up. He would just keep on beating her around. I don't think he was happy with the way events had turned out.
Apparently not.
Yeah. They finally came to a bunch of brush ups on top of the edge of the mountain, and they stopped there for a little while, but then he said to her, "I suppose you feel bad about me just like your old man," and then said, "I heard your old man saying I wasn't nothing but a simple nut."
Well, way to prove him right.
Yeah. Pretty much. But, where was I? Sorry, I keep losing my place. I found it. Peggy said, "No, Bill, I don't believe that." And he said, "Yes, you do," and started punching Peggy in the eye. I would think he's a nut.
I mean, he's not exactly disproving the theory.
No, he's not. But while rambling, he said there would be one less agent, one less he wouldn't have to contend with. So he didn't feel bad at all for what he just did. He just let it. He didn't feel bad, remorse in any type of way. How? You just shot a man and killed him. Why would you not feel remorse in any way?
And as much as he loves dogs.
Yeah, it wasn't his dog. I mean, it's not something I would do. Don't get me wrong, I would never do something like that. I love animals too much. But, while rambling, like I said, he had one less agent and one less he won't have to contend with. They got on the move again and kept going. He kept saying, "Keep moving on, we gotta get out of here. There's only one chance for them to get out of there. That's head for Clear Ridge Mountains." I mean, they got over there and they were army trucks and they seen tankers going along the road. Peggy said to Hollenbaugh that they will never get out of there. "Why don't you just give yourself up?" And he told her the only way he's going to give up is to die.
I mean, I'm okay with that.
Peggy said they kept walking all night until they came to a cabin at the back of the Rubeck farm, and it was probably 2 or 3 in the morning. So that would be the end of the 7th day. So now we are going on to the 8th day, which is also the final day.
Yeah, it's all getting ready to come to a head.
Yes. Wednesday of May 18th of 1966. Peggy said there was this road that had 2 big gates on it. They were big steel gates. They came up to them, and Hollenbaugh told Peggy only one chance of us getting out of here alive, and that is if they can get up to these cottages, and if no one there, then they can get in the farm. He said he'd been there before and had tried this cabin door. It unlocked with his key. They went up there, and there was a car just sitting there, and Hollenbaugh said they can't stay there. They didn't see another place, so they went into the back room, said that they can stay there, and if anyone comes out and tries to get away, he will just shoot them.
No, that's simple.
Yeah. There was a shower, and it had a curtain that they could hide in that. They waited there for someone, and a man finally came into the bathroom. Hollenbaugh told him not to run, and Hollenbaugh shot him. They went in the house and forced the man to hurry and told him to drive and keep driving, and he was not to stop. So he kidnapped another person.
No, of course.
Yeah. In the meantime, Pennsylvania's State Police Corporal Grant Mixel had been assigned the duty at the south end at the Rubik farm along Route 522 since the preceding afternoon on day 7. He noticed a cabin west of the Rubik farm and was given permission to search the cabin with Lieutenant Barger. In the cabin there was a rifle and a shotgun along with a large amount of ammo. They did receive permission to remove the firearms and ammo just in case Hollenbaugh were to happen upon the cabin. And this way he couldn't get no more firearms and ammo.
Yeah, because he really doesn't need any more.
No, he don't. So they were given permission to go ahead and remove that. About dusk, a deputy sheriff named Francis Sharpe, who was a friend of the owner of the cabin, they informed him that they had removed the firearms and the ammo. Mixel and Trooper Richard Bodine watched Sharpe open the gate and drive onto the property and then out of sight into the woods in the direction of the cabin. So this was on day 7. This stuff happened. Okay? He was driving a small green-colored sedan. The 2 officers remained on duty at the same spot from the time Sharpe arrived on the evening of Tuesday, day 7, until the following morning. At about 7 a.m. on Wednesday, day 8, Mixel and Bodine observed Sharpe's green car coming from the direction of the cabin towards 522. Mixel reported the following. We also observed a man in the right rear seat of Sharpe's car diagonally across from the driver. I thought this was suspicious as Sharpe had gone to the cabin alone. I noticed the passenger was wearing an orange peak cap. Trooper Bodine and I, as soon as we saw the car containing a passenger, immediately proceeded to the gate leading to the cabin to investigate. So the fact that Sharpe had gone in there by himself, but now all of a sudden he's leaving with an extra person when they had already searched the place and there was nobody there. So,
I mean, yeah, it's suspicious.
yeah, I'd be thinking suspicious too, because nobody was there when they searched the place earlier that day. Mixel was about 30 feet south of the car along the west of 522 when Sharpe stopped the car and proceeded to open the gate. As Sharpe approached the gate, it appeared that he was deliberately avoiding looking at Mixel, and this further aroused suspicion. Bodine stated that that looks like the guy. Mixel immediately hollered that is the guy, referring to Hollenbaugh. At this time, Sharpe was out of the car and had opened the gate. They noticed there was some wet blood on the front of his shirt, in the area of his abdomen, and the small of his back. So it looked like there was probably an exit wound too. looked like a gunshot wound. At this time, Sharpay was motioning with his hand to draw the attention of Mixel and Bodine, and then said, "I'm shot. I need help. He made me bring them down." Then Mixel saw the barrel of a gun come out the rear window of the car, pointing in their direction. Mixel yelled, "Hit the deck!" Hollenbaugh fired 3 shots in rapid succession. Bodine and Mixel returned fire and ran to the ditch on the east side of Route 522, and then again returned fire in the direction of the car. Neither officer were aware Peggy was lying out of sight on the floor of the car of the back seat.
I was just getting ready to say, where's Peggy?
They didn't see her. I'm sorry. Hollenbaugh busted out the window and hollered at Peggy to come on. They jumped behind the car until he yelled it again. It was safe. He fired a couple more shots and started running towards the barn. They got to the road. Peggy noticed the guy was going to fire a shot and she was scared. She was in the middle of a gunfire.
Yeah.
A gunfire fight. Like, I'm sure she was scared to death about what was going to happen to her.
Yeah.
They got to the corner of the shed and heard a shot from behind the shed. Hollenbaugh stood in front of Peggy and said, "It's all right." They started to cross the road and got as far as the culvert and started in the house. Then Hollenbaugh was shot. 15-year-old Larry Rubeck told investigators he was in the barn across the road from his house doing his daily chores. He saw the man with the orange hat starting shooting from car at state police. He saw him get out of the car with a girl, and he knew immediately that this was Peggy and Hollenbaugh. Larry and his brother went into the house with his mom, and they immediately went in through the back door and locked it, and they armed themselves so they can protect their family. The girl was pounding on the back door, but they didn't open it because they thought her captor was with her. They didn't want to let Hollenbaugh in. I'm sure they
blame them, but I'd like to think that I would have helped.
Yeah, I'm sure they were really torn because they want to help Peggy, but they don't want to let Hollenbaugh in and
give him more hostages.
Yeah. So they just didn't open it, unfortunately, for Peggy, but it does work out in the end. According to Mixel, he and Bodine worked their way back to their patrol car and called for assistance. Mixel went to the east side of the highway into the high grass and crawled back towards the Rubeck house. He saw Hollenbaugh at the north end of the corn crib of the north end of the barn. He believed at that point he saw a female who looked like Peggy fleeing from the direction of the Sharpay car towards the rear of the barn. Hollenbaugh had fired several shots in Mixel's direction. At the same time he was firing, Mixel saw his gun fall to the ground and him go to his knees. He picked up the gun and took shelter behind the building. Mixel said he circled back around the back of the Rubeck house and saw Hollenbaugh coming towards him. Hollenbaugh was about 10 feet from the house and 25 feet from Mixel. Mixel took aim at his head, and at the same instant, Mixel thought he had fired into the Rubeck house because there was another gunshot. So there was 2 gunshots, Mixel's and another one. At the same instant, Hollenbaugh fell to the ground. Mixel slowly approached Hollenbaugh. Numerous people had then arrived on the scene and surrounded him. Hollenbaugh was taken to the Fulton County Medical Center in McConnellsburg, where the Fulton County coroner, Dr. Russell McLucas, declared him dead at 7:45 a.m. on May 18th of 1968, day 8.
I know I wish for capital punishment, which is, a death sentence, but I kind of wish he would have had to live some of his time in prison with nothing but time to think about everything he's done to everybody.
Yeah.
I think he should have been... I feel like he should have suffered before he died.
Yeah. You only say that because he killed a dog.
Well, not even... Well, I mean, that's a
I'm
huge
joking.
part of it. It is. Dang it, I'm such a dog lover. I'm such an animal lover. That is a huge part of it. But, I mean, not even that. The federal agent, that right there, he was gonna get capital punishment for that alone.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Yeah, he killed an FBI agent.
yeah, that by itself is capital punishment. But just the way he terrorized that little town, what he did to the World War II vet, I mean, that man deserved to suffer. All because what? He wanted a woman?
Yeah, he had all these mental problems and he wanted a woman. I don't know. But Hollenbaugh's body was then removed to the Kelso Funeral Home, where Dr. Hall, a forensic pathologist, was prepared to perform an autopsy at 10:30 a.m. Peggy has spent 14 more days hospitalized for care of her physical and emotional injuries, while medical law enforcement personnel made efforts to debrief her to find out everything that had happened. The other shot that they heard actually came from in the house. The kid Larry was shooting at Hollenbaugh at the exact same time Mixel was shooting.
Okay.
It was Mixel's shot that is the one that killed him.
Okay.
So that's where the other gunshot had come from.
Came from the...
From inside the house, yes.
Good for him.
Yeah, I'm actually glad it was Mixel, though, that shot him. Because
Yeah, no child should have to live with, knowing that they did that. Not that it wouldn't have been for a good cause, but...
Yeah, that he was saving people's lives and stuff, but it's the fact of taking another person's life, that's gotta not be easy.
Yeah.
For some people. Not for
I was
everyone.
gonna say, didn't seem to be a problem for old Bill.
Nope. But with the conclusion, following Peggy's release from Fulton County Medical Center, she returned to her high school, and afterwards she attended a beautician school. In the early 1967, she married Darrell Logan and moved to Westville, Indiana.
Good for her.
Yeah, her daughter was born in the fall of 1967. While there, Peggy worked as a beautician and her husband was in the trucking business. Her husband passed away due to cancer, unfortunately, in 1981.
Well, that's a shame. Hadn't the girl been through enough?
Yeah. A year later, Peggy met and married her current husband, Albert Jackson, so she was able to find love again.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, for a time, they lived in Hamlet, Indiana, before moving back here to Three Springs, Pennsylvania in 1991. Peggy's father had died in 1987 and her mom in 2004. Since her retirement from the Huntington Fulton Bedford Area Agency on Aging Office in Huntington in 2008, Peggy has been busy volunteering for public service activities. For decades, Peggy has shared her story with tens of thousands of people, both directly and through the print and electric media. She had never tried to hide her emotions or perspectives about her ordeal. And as far as her abductor, William Dillard Hollenbaugh, is concerned, Peggy feels sympathy for him. I don't think he had a fair shake in life, she said. Through no fault of her own, though, Peggy had become the victim of a man who would beat her, belittle her, profess his love for her, and provide for her in his own demented way. He controlled her physically at the end of a chain, made her and threatened her with more physical abuse and even death if she did not comply with his every demand. Luckily, he did not, other than trying to kiss her, he did not sexually assault her in any other way.
That's good.
Yeah, she was made sure that everyone knew about that.
That's good. He seemed like he had a little bit of humanity.
From what I read, though, Peggy is a truly remarkable person. I think she survived the whole ordeal, not knowing how it was going to end. She's thankful every day she's alive and all the people who came out to help her. Her ordeal made national headlines, and the search was the largest manhunt in United States history at that time for the FBI and everything.
Oh, wow.
Terry Ray Anderson, he was born in Washington, Iowa, January 19th of 1924. He attended Washington, Iowa High School and excelled in sports, especially football. He went to Drake University and majored in political science. His parents moved to Des Moines, and in his sophomore year, he joined the Marine Corps and was stationed in North Carolina. As part of the Marine Corps' Canine training program, he was sent to the University of Notre Dame.
Nice.
I knew you'd like that. When home on leave, he met his wife, who was attending Drake. They were married in 1946. After the war, Terry returned to Drake and captained the football team along with his older brother. They both graduated in 1947. Terry returned to Iowa in the fall of 1947 and started teaching history at the Dallas Center High School. He also coached football, basketball, and track for 4 years. In 1951, he joined the FBI and went to Virginia for training. After graduating from the FBI Academy, he was posted at several residence agencies in Ohio and later Philadelphia, PA. After Philadelphia, he was stationed at State College for 4 years. Special Agent Anderson moved to the Cumberland County area in 1956 with his wife and 4 children when he was transferred to the Harrisburg office. He was very active in local youth sports programs, supporting his children, and the East Pennsboro School District. He was also promoted to the head of the Harrisburg Field Office as the special agent in charge.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so...
Very accomplished.
Oh, yeah, he was very accomplished, had one heck of a resume, pretty much. I just wanted to say something special about him since he died trying to save Peggy. But I also wanted to say that there was not just Special Agent Anderson. Yeah, I'm sorry for his loss too. But there was also another loss, in my opinion, that trying to save Peggy, and that would be the dog.
Yeah.
Of all the places I read, there was only like one quick mention of this one. But I wanted to mention that the tracking dog, Wade, had lost his life when Agent Anderson died. Thankfully, the other dog, King, like I said, survived. Like I said, in my opinion, there was 2 lives lost that day. They both died trying to save Peggy.
That's true.
That's my opinion. Wade traveled miles just to come and help her, and unfortunately, he did not survive to go back home.
The poor puppers.
Yeah. I feel bad for Wade's owner and King. King lost his buddy, his brother. It's sad. But the source of this I got from Trail of Terror, the story of Peggy Ann Bragnick and the Mountain Man by Kenneth Pfeffer Jr. That's where I got my source on this from this time. And that is the conclusion and ending of the Peggy Ann Bragnick and the Mountain Man story from Shade Gap, Pennsylvania.
It was a very interesting story.
Oh yeah, I'm glad somebody suggested it. It was a good one. And I loved researching it. But now everyone gets a break from me after this, and now it's your turn, Devin.
Oh boy.
So let me know what you all thought of this story. I'm curious.
Yeah, it was nice, little local episode.
Yeah, local history, so to speak. I mean,
yeah.
It happened back in the 60s, so in a way it is history.
Yeah, I couldn't think of the word history.
Yeah, I get it.
I'm tired.
Yeah.
Yeah, I left my brain back at Penhurst.
Oh, they should have committed you, though.
Well, they said about signing me up for a lobotomy. I told them, sign me up.
Oh, they should have.
They should have.
But yeah, I don't know what Devin's researching right now. She hasn't told me yet. So I guess I will find out with everybody else when the time comes.
All I'm gonna say is there are so many trigger warnings, people.
Oh, yay. Well, at least I get to give my voice a break and everyone don't have to listen to me talk anymore. It's your turn.
Yeah, I decided to start doing my solo one. I figured I'd do the first. I was just gonna jump right in, feet first.
Yeah, like I said, this was not supposed to be a 3-parter, but it ended up turning into a 3-parter.
Yeah, I figure I'm just gonna jump right into it, feet first, and yeah, we're just. It's definitely it's not one that's well talked about. I will say that it is not something that's. I've not found too many other podcasts that have done the person that I'm going to be working on.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, there is some, don't get me wrong. But not as many as. He's known, but he's not well known. Like, he's not as well known as, like, Jeffrey Dahmer or Ted Bundy or the Night Stalker.
Oh.
He's not up to that level, but honestly, I think he's worse than all of them.
Oh, wow.
Like I said, major trigger warnings. The whole thing's just one gigantic trigger warning. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Well, at least I know it's a guy, at least. He keeps saying he, so I'm assuming a guy.
Yeah, I didn't want to start right away with a female. We did a female right off the bat when we did Marie.
Yeah.
I figured I would start with a guy.
Yeah. Well, I guess we should thank everyone for listening. Possibly follow us, rate and review this episode. Please, thank you, everyone. We really are curious to everyone's opinions on this episode and all the other episodes. You want to tell them where they can find us?
You can find us at sistersofthedarkesthour@gmail.com. There is also our Facebook and YouTube.
Sisters of the Darkest Hour for them, too. We keep saying we want to get other social medias up. We should start doing that.
We do. October's a busy month for us.
It is.
There's, like, so many birthdays.
Yeah, and then our brother ended up coming up, too, unexpectedly, which was a good visit.
Yeah. And, I mean, don't be a stranger. We are completely open to constructive criticism. And I mean constructive, not hurtful.
Yeah. But, alright, thank you everyone for listening. I guess we will talk to everyone later.
Alright. Have a good week, everybody.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you next time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.